Welcome back to Tales Recapped. Today I'm going to explain the film called Son of the Mask, released in 2005. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and stay safe. On a dark and stormy night in Edge City, Dr. Newman is giving a museum tour. The final part of the tour covers Norse mythology. Dr. Newman then introduced the mask, a powerful artifact that imbues the wearer with Loki's powers. Naturally, Loki only created the mask to spread chaos and mischief on Earth. Dr. Newman explained that Loki was the god of mischief, the black sheep of the family, and a constant embarrassment to Odin. Due to his misdeeds, Loki was severely punished by Odin. Saying such unflattering things about the god of mischief seems like a good way to invite trouble. And as expected, Loki hears everything, and he is not happy. Revealing his godly form causes all the museum visitors to run away in fear. Meanwhile, Loki takes back his mask only to discover it is a fake. Because he's the god of mischief, Loki decides to use his powers to mess with the museum employees. Loki ends up having a lot of fun. The employees, not so much. Later, Loki is taking a break from his mission and enjoying some sun and waves. Unfortunately for him, Odin finds Loki and commands him to retrieve his mask. Meanwhile, the real mask is in Fringe City, making its way to the home of Tim and his wife. Childish and irresponsible, Tim wants nothing to do with children, much to his wife's disappointment. But as far as Tim is concerned, the only child he needed was their dog. Dogs are man's best friend after all. Tim is an inspiring animator who is stuck as the mascot for his animation studio. Not having made any progress in his career, it's only natural that Tim is frustrated. What's worse is the company is throwing a Halloween costume party that night, and the dog eats Tim's werewolf mask. With no other choice, Tim puts on the mask his dog found earlier that day. As soon as he puts the mask on, it transforms him into the mask alter ego. Not unlike its creator, the mask is all about fun and tricks. The company party turns out to be lame, so the mask decides to shake things up with his powers. With just a few magical turns and twists, the party is suddenly a big hit. That night, Tim returns home still wearing the mask and goes to bed with his wife. The next day, inspired by the mask at the Halloween party, Tim's boss gives him a promotion. He is finally going to be an animator creating his own show. This is Tim's dream come true. But Tim isn't the only one with good news. On the same day, his wife finds out that she is pregnant. But this isn't a typical pregnancy. Instead of vomit, the wife throws up bubbles, and the baby is dancing in the womb during its ultrasound. How does the wife not feel the maracas shaking in her belly? 9 months later, they have a new baby boy. I was really expecting it to be green like its dad, but all things look normal. Unfortunately for their dog, the baby's arrival means it is no longer an only child. The baby's arrival kicks the dog out of the house. At the same time, Tim's work is suffering. His boss just doesn't care about his ideas. He just wants more of the craziness brought by the mask powers. Unfortunately for Tim, he doesn't have the mask anymore. Far, far away, the birth of the baby notifies Odin of the mask location, and he is not happy. He sends Loki to Fringe City to find the mask. Loki, grudgingly, infiltrates the hospital to do Odin's bidding. In the hospital, Loki looks up information on the babies born on the same day that Odin sends the mask power. List in hand, Loki starts tracking down his mask by forcing his way into people's homes with bad disguises. Unfortunately for him, this is not the baby he's looking for. Meanwhile, Tim is very sleep deprived. Taking care of a baby is very hard work. Tim almost makes a horrible mistake, but luckily, the baby is smart enough to save himself. With his wife out of town for work, Tim has to take care of the baby on his own. It does not go well, and his work continues to go poorly. The baby can suddenly talk, which is something every parent is excited about. Tim is no exception, but the baby only seems to like his mom and refuses to call Tim Dad. Tim plants his baby in front of the TV, because that's how you distract kids. Long after Tim goes to bed, the baby is still watching TV. The baby definitely does not like his dad. The next day, the baby begins his revenge. Kids are impressionable, and the baby starts imitating the things on TV. Tim is freaked out. He desperately runs over to the neighbor's house for help, but his baby is smarter than that and plays innocent in front of other people. After all, the goal is to get his dad locked up in a mental hospital. Let people think he's mentally unstable. After being ejected from the house, the dog transforms into the mask. Understandably, the dog doesn't like the baby. Now that it has the mask powers, it hatches a plan to get rid of the usurper. This becomes a battle of powers and cunning. Who is stronger? The dog wearing the mask or the baby made by the mask? Although he's only a few months old, the baby is smarter than the dog gives him credit for. He uses the dog's own tricks against it, but it hasn't given up, and the dog hatches another previous plan. Meanwhile, Tim is terrified of his son, and now even his dog is acting strange. This is just too much for Tim to handle, and he passed out. The dog has a good plan. It's just too bad it turned out against him once more. Pretty soon, the baby will be fighting supervillains named Syndrome, who want to kidnap him. Oh, wait, wrong baby. Tim discovers time and again that taking care of a baby is not easy. Taking care of a superpowered baby is even harder, especially when he hates you. After hitting dead end after dead end, Loki finally arrives at Tim's house. Loki picks up the baby and tells him to do something crazy, but the baby plays innocent. Nothing happens, so Loki uses a prank device to knock Tim out and leaves the house, thinking it's the wrong baby again. Luckily for Loki, he sees Tim's baby using his powers in the car and drives after them. Tim drives his son to the doctor's office because surely the doctor will know what's wrong with his baby, right? Loki has no respect for the law or law enforcement. As a god, all he has to do is avoid a ticket. Terrified that a strange man is after his son, Tim runs away. The mask can't handle the baby. Can Loki? Despite multiple warnings from Odin about harming humans, Loki just can't help himself. When Loki's pranks get a little too dangerous, the baby actually protects himself and his dad from Loki's grenade. It looks like Tim has finally proved himself as a father, leading father and son to form a bond. Just as Loki is about to annihilate Tim and his baby, Odin takes over Tim's body. As usual, Odin doesn't bother listening to Loki's explanation and instead punishes him for harming mortals by stripping him of his powers. Now Loki is at a severe disadvantage. Seizing the opportunity, Tim's baby smacks Loki between two dumpsters. As a result of the antics of Loki and his baby, Tim is late to a very important meeting. When he finally arrives, he completely freezes and is carried out of the building by security. But despite being fired, Tim has found something more important, and he begins seeing his baby as more than a burden now. Loki, powerless now, sneaks into the baby's room. He summons Odin for a chat on the wall in the baby's room, the FaceTime of ancient Norse gods. As expected, Odin just continues to belittle Loki and compare him to his brothers. But this time, Loki finally stands up for himself against Odin. He asks Odin to return his powers, but Odin warns him that this is his final chance. Odin returns Loki's powers to him, along with a wardrobe refresh. Because he's the god of mischief, the first thing he does is turn the neighbor's face into a giant nose. Next, he tortures Tim psychologically by shape-shifting into first his baby, then his wife. Loki kidnaps the baby and holds him ransom for the mask. Right afterward, Tim's wife returns home from her business trip. Tim runs out and attacks her, thinking she's actually Loki in disguise. Tim and his wife realize their dog has Loki's mask. Still jealous of being replaced, the dog dons the mask once more. It goes on a date with a cute neighborhood dog and doesn't want to help Tim at all. Tim apologizes for treating his dog badly and tells it it's still part of their family. Because he's man's best friend, the dog forgives Tim and gives up the mask to save the baby. In a dark alley, Loki tests out the baby's powers, leading them to have a showdown. Loki is just having fun, but the baby doesn't hold back. Luckily, Loki is immortal and the baby's pranks can't hurt him. Loki and the baby play a lot of fun games and develop a bond as well. Eventually, Tim and his wife arrive and it's time to exchange the baby for the mask. Unexpectedly, Loki goes back on his side of the deal. He decides to keep both the mask and the baby. After a change of heart, the dog helps to rescue the baby. During the mayhem, the mask falls on Tim's face, transforming him and giving him the same powers he had the night of the party. Meanwhile, Loki gives up on the mask and decides to skip town with just the baby. Tim uses the mask powers to chase after them in a new decked-out car. Tim and Loki have a boxing match with powers. Tim and his wife rescue the baby and try to escape, but Loki catches up to them. It turns out that neither side can gain a clear advantage because they have the same powers. Finally, Loki and Tim agree to let the baby decide. Loki uses his powers to make himself look fun and cool. Tim sees he is losing the battle, so he takes off the mask and talks to the baby as just his dad. Their strong bond eventually wins, and the baby chooses his dad. Loki is furious that he is losing his only friend, so he tries to crush Tim and his family with a giant hammer. Has Loki learned nothing from his previous punishment? Somehow, Tim manages to hold off the hammer, Unfortunately, he can't possibly win without the mask powers. Just when it's looking hopeless, Loki's time runs out. Odin appears in the arena and immediately starts scolding Loki as a failure and disappointment. Tim can't watch on anymore. Having learned his own lesson about the importance of family, he imparts this knowledge onto Loki and Odin. Tim's words seem to hit home because Odin and Loki reconcile. Getting his mask back, the two gods return home together. After these strange events, Tim is inspired on what his new show should be. He is rehired at the animation studio. His new show about a baby and dog trying to compete for their dad's attention becomes an instant success. No mask involved. The movie ends with Tim and the others watching the premiere of his cartoon as a family. Tim's wife uses the chance to tell Tim their family is getting a new member. Uh-oh, looks like the baby might not be too happy about that.